Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to One Good Scare, the show where I take a deep dive into everything the genre has to offer. My name is Jimmy Champane, and today we'll be taking a look at John Carpenter's masterpiece, Halloween. After Carpenter premiered Assault on Precinct 13 at the Milan Film Festival, Mustafa Akkad and Irwin Yablans asked him to direct a movie about a serial killer who would stalk and then murder a bunch of babysitters. Carpenter agreed, but under the condition that he could put his name before the title, he'd retain full creative control over the project, and of course that he'd be paid $10,000 for the entire thing, with some kickbacks based on the movie's performance. The producers agreed, so then Carpenter sat down with his longtime girlfriend Deborah Hill, and they kicked out the script in under 10 days. Hill was a babysitter when she was a teenager, so she wrote the dialogue for Annie, Linda, and Laurie, while Carpenter tackled Dr. Samuel Loomis. While they don't overtly mention it in the movie, they wanted to bring in the idea of the Celtic holiday Samhain and make it about Halloween, and the idea that you can't kill evil. Since Donald Pleasence played Dr. Loomis in every Halloween movie literally until he died, it's really tough to think about anyone else playing that role, but Carpenter initially wanted Peter Cushing to play that part. Of course, he couldn't get him because the budget was so low and Peter Cushing was coming off of Star Wars, but that's who he wanted. The only reason he went with Donald Pleasence was because Irwin Yablans suggested him, and Donald Pleasence accepted because his daughter liked the score of Assault on Precinct 13. It's weird how things work out that way. There are tons of references to other horror movies like The Thing and Halloween, but the biggest reference of all was actually hiring Jamie Lee Curtis. She's the daughter of Janet Leigh, who was the star of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. And another big reason they hired her was because that fact alone would provide great publicity. It took almost exactly a month to film Halloween, and Carpenter smartly spent a big chunk of the budget on getting top-of-the-line camera equipment like a Steadicam. That was so the film could be easily preserved, and I think that decision really paid off for him. It released in late October of 1978, and thanks to strong word of mouth and actually good critical reviews, which was surprising at the time, it was able to blow up bigger than anyone anticipated. On a $320,000 budget, which is absolutely tiny, it was able to make almost $70 million. That is absolutely insane. Halloween changed the horror genre forever, and it set the standard for every slasher movie that came out after it. I might be a little biased here, but I don't think that standard has been met. 20 years after it came out, when I was 5 years old in 1998, I saw this movie because my friends saw it on their parents' TV through a crack in their door and told me all about it. I'm not going to tell you guys how I was able to see it, but when my mom found out, she was pretty pissed, I will say that. But with that out of the way, guys, let's get into the video. Halloween begins on a cool fall night in 1963. The very first thing you see after the title sequence is a house, the Myers house, and you quickly realize you're seeing through the eyes of somebody else. There's a sense of mystery with an undertone of malice as this person enters and walks through the house, but it isn't until they grab a knife that you realize it's a child's eyes you're seeing the world through. The child starts to make their way upstairs and almost gets caught by the teenage boy who you just saw making out with the pretty teenage girl. The child picks up a mask and places it over their eyes before making their way into the girl's room. She says one word, Michael, just as he stabs her to death with a knife. The shape is born. I still remember the first time I saw this scene play out. I was 5 years old, and it both terrified me and opened my eyes to how scary the world around me could actually be. I'd argue though that the scene that comes after is even scarier. A somber and slightly scared Dr. Loomis is driven through a thunderstorm on Devil's Night in 1978. The same year that the movie was released, while a nonchalant nurse is at the wheel. I can't imagine a version of this scenario that would feel normal, but as the scene slowly unravels, it's clear something is wrong. It's just a little too dark, and once the car arrives at Smith's Grove, those suspicions are confirmed. Mental patients are stumbling around the lawn during a thunderstorm in pitch black darkness, and even after revisiting this movie at least twice a year for the last 20 years, seeing them illuminated by the car's headlights still makes my spine tingle. The shape hasn't spoken a word in 15 years, but it turns out he was waiting for an opportunity to escape, and now he has it. He's been locked up for over a decade, but in that time, he's become an even scarier force to be reckoned with. After the shape makes his daring entrance and escape, the movie cuts ahead 12 hours, and we're introduced to Halloween's other two stars, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode in the town of Haddonfield, Illinois. Halloween was shot in South Pasadena and West Hollywood, but Carpenter and Hill went out of their way to make it feel like fall. Hill based it on the town of Haddonfield, New Jersey, and they even went as far as transporting leaves from scene to scene. It's eerily familiar to me as a town that you could know like the back of your hand in less than a day, and I think that's an essential reason as to why the setting is so scary. People move out to the suburbs to get away from the dangers of the big city, but Halloween Halloween brings that danger right to them, and they're completely unequipped to handle it. When we see the Myers house with the wear and tear of the last 15 years, it just drives home that small town feel. It's probably the worst thing that the people of Haddonfield have ever seen, and because of that, the house has a mythology not unlike the Neibolt house in Stephen King's It. Everyone knows it's probably not haunted, but nobody wants to get close enough to find out, except for Laurie Strode. Even though Laurie Strode is one of the first examples of the final girl trope, I still think she's the best version of it because you actually like her. Usually you just see this quiet character who everyone likes for no reason, but they give you a reason to care about Laurie. She's smart, she's resourceful, and she behaves like an actual person. I mean, look at her. She doesn't even miss a beat when she's daydreaming out the window and her teacher tries to catch her. I've been in that situation hundreds of times, and I don't think I've ever done as well as she did. The funny thing is though, Jamie Lee Curtis was initially kind of nervous to play this role because in real life she says she was a lot more like Annie or Linda. I'm glad she stuck with it though, because she's at least half the reason this character is still so iconic. The best way I can describe Dr. Loomis is as a modern day Van Helsing. You've of course got the brown tweed suit and the whole thing where Carpenter originally wanted Cushing to play the character, but on top of that, unlike most people who are reactive to danger, he's proactive. He knows what Michael can do, and while his contemporary Dr. Wynn is happy to wash his hands of any responsibility for what Michael might do, Dr. Loomis takes it upon himself to hunt Michael down, hopefully before anyone gets hurt. One of the things I praise the new movie for is how it made Michael scary again by showing us how easy it is for him to navigate Haddonfield undetected, even in the age of cell phones and hypervigilant helicopter parents. So seeing now that it's even easier for him to stalk his victims in broad daylight while the local sheriff is mere feet away makes this movie even scarier. I mean, think about it. He could kill Laurie at any point throughout the day, whether it's while she walks home alone from school or sees him out in the hanging laundry from her seemingly empty home in her second floor bedroom, or even when he's blatantly tailing her and Annie in the Smiths Grove station wagon while they drive around smoking. But he doesn't. He just wants her fear to last as long as possible before he takes her life. If you've watched my videos for a while or listened to my podcast, you know pacing is make or break for me with movies. And I know that little tick in my brain is all thanks to Halloween, which is a rare case of perfect pacing. It moves so effortlessly from one beat to another that for me at least, there's never a moment when I want to glance at my phone or refresh Twitter. It is so bizarre to me that it took 40 years for a director other than John Carpenter to get what makes the shape scary when Loomis explains exactly what he is and is supposed to be to Sheriff Brackett during this scene inside the Myers house. He's a blank, expressionless embodiment of pure evil. There's no emotion, no humanity, no empathy, no weird desire to kill off his entire bloodline, just an unadulterated drive to kill. Oh, it's a dog. I bet he'll make it to the end. Something I criticized Halloween 2, and both of Rob Zombie's movies, and Halloween 6 for, was how poorly those movies spread out Michael Myers' appearances. There's of course the whole alien thing where the more you see a monster, the less scary it becomes, but I think Halloween is a unique example of the opposite being true. We see the shape stalking Laurie and her friends all over the place in this movie, and all it does is make him scarier. And one of the biggest criticisms for this year's Halloween from you guys that I've seen is that it doesn't have the tension of the original, and honestly, I completely agree. I already touched on this a little bit, but I love how Michael is doing his part in making Halloween night absolutely terrifying for Laurie's friends. First, you have him making the potted plant drop to creep Annie out before appearing in the doorway and locking her in the shed, instead of taking his chance to slaughter her. And then you've got the scene where he dresses up as a sheet ghost with Bob's glasses before he chokes Linda with the phone cord. It's 100% genuinely terrifying. That is definitely not to say the direction that David Gordon Green took his Halloween sequel in is wrong though. You have to keep in mind that this movie came out in 1978, and it was one of the first slashers ever after Black Christmas. The amount of gore and on-screen death you saw in this movie was actually pretty gratuitous back then, and it came out 18 years after Psycho, which is a movie that made the bold choice of showing a toilet on film. And then you have to consider the fact that if they kept the same level of gore for this year's Halloween, the movie probably would have been rated PG-13, and then there would have been an even bigger uproar from fans than we already saw. That being said though, Annie's death scene is one of the all-time best. I mean, Michael has decided at this point that he's going to kill her, but instead of just doing it, he fogs up the inside of the car so she'll know someone's in it. Then he spends a minute choking her to scare her even more, and then he just says, okay, you've suffered enough, and he slits her throat. At that point, we didn't even have a knife, and we don't even see the blood, but if anyone was still on the fence as to whether or not the shape is scary, they're definitely over it now. This is without a doubt the most iconic shot in the entire franchise, and to this day, the scariest kill in any movie, in my opinion. Everything about it is perfect. Again, there's no blood, but seeing a full-grown adult male suspended in mid-air by a butcher's knife stabbed directly through his heart into a wood cabinet doesn't need blood to be terrifying. And now that Annie, Linda, and Bob are all out of the way, it's time for the pieces to fall into place. Loomis finds the Smiths Grove station wagon, and Laurie starts to realize that maybe she was right to be spooked out earlier in the day. I love getting to see Michael's hard work pay off as we quickly start to realize that he's constructed the most elaborate and authentic haunted house of all time for her. From the second she walks in that door, you know that nothing good is going to happen to her, but even though she's walked right into the Shape's open arms, Carpenter still squeezes that last little bit of tension out of the movie to make it just a tiny bit more terrifying. Just a few seconds later, Laurie is confronted with her best friend's body, but before she even has a chance to process it, Bob's corpse swings down, and just a second after that, she discovers Linda. And with that, all of her friends are dead. But Laurie Strode is not the character to give up and let the Shape take her life too. She takes a quick fall over the railing and down the stairs, but she's quick to jump into action and use her wits to put some distance between her and the Shape. And she narrowly escapes even though he was one step ahead of her by blocking the door with the rake.
Hello? Oh, oh. Hello, help me! Man, please help me! Please! Can't you hear me? Oh God!
Are you kidding me? Let her in and call the cops. She's an 18-year-old girl. What's she gonna do to you? Scream at you until you're dead? Jesus Christ. The way the Shape crosses the street while Laurie screams for Tommy to let her in the house is the exact moment where he became an icon to me. He's not walking at a snail's pace like Jason Voorhees would. He's calmly and deliberately walking toward her because he knows he'll catch her soon enough. There really isn't anything I can say that hasn't already been said about the final sequence where Loomis comes to Laurie's rescue. He shoots Michael 6 times, Michael falls out the window, and when the camera cuts back to him, Michael is gone. Laurie Strode has to go on knowing that Michael is out there, and he might come for her or he might not, but he's out there, and that's terrifying. And then the night is over. It ends on the iconic theme that I won't play because YouTube is full of hand-washing bullshit excuses when it comes to fair use, but I don't need to play it. It's in your head, and it'll stay there for the rest of the day until you watch this movie for the 400th time and close out one more incredible Halloween season. And when you go upstairs to go to bed, remember this: you can shoot it, you can burn it, you can even behead it, but you can't kill it. The boogeyman is real, and when it comes for you, the last thing you'll hear is this. And now that we've reached the end of my One Good Scare videos on the Halloween franchise for 2018, I have a couple things to say to you. First off, thank you. If you're still here at the end of the video, the biggest thing I can say is thank you so much. If you're one of those people who subscribed this year and really helped my channel blow up, thank you. I know I've just said it like 4 times, but thank you. And if you really want to help me grow more, the biggest thing you can do is just leave a comment, hit the thumbs up button, and share this video with your friends. YouTube's algorithm keeps destroying me in terms of showing my video to all of my subscribers. I know you've heard this from way bigger creators, but this really matters for someone who's small like me. It's a lot easier for someone who has 100,000 subs to complain that they're not getting 100,000 views, but I only have 9.8 thousand subs, so I'd really like to get more than 9.8 thousand views on my videos that I spend over 40 hours on every week. I feel like you guys can see my frustration there. And if you're not a subscriber and you're still here at the end of the video, just hit the fucking button because you just watched a like 15-minute video to get here. You obviously like something about my channel, so subscribe already. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Halloween. Let me know when the first time was you saw it and how it changed your life. Just let me know about Halloween. I want to talk to you guys about Halloween down in the comments below. And anyways, guys, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and happy Halloween.